everyone. Here we are ready to dig in. Well, this is the getting goings of the Led Zeppelin series and returning to the hold on. We forgot.
What?
The jacket. Have to be properly attired. Okay, now we're talking, right? This is feeling a little bit more prepared. Well, what am I doing today? Today, I am returning to a selection of pieces from Led Zeppelin 1. I have already done the complete album first listen, and now I'm returning to a few select pieces off of the album, which I chose to go back and do a more exploratory listen again. And well, I should say that there are a couple on this album which I have already listened to in more detail. If I hadn't have done that, I would be including them here because they're really great pieces. And those two are Good Times, Bad Times, and Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. I always have to make sure I get the names right. In fact, with Good Times, Bad Times, I've been working on that one, name-wise, because the opening sticks in my ears. In the days of my youth. And so I'm always thinking, it's called In the Days of My Youth. But no, it's Good Times, Bad Times. So that's why I sometimes have to stop and think and be really sure that I say the right name. Sometimes I still don't. Anyway, I think I got it this time, right? And so you can already find those two, Good Times, Bad Times, and Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, on my channel already. Those have already been listened to specifically with time to stop and explore. In fact, those were my first listens to those pieces. Now I'm in this whole album project, and sure enough, those two were on this album. And so they were part of my first listen of the entire album as well. Now I'm coming back and selecting specific songs other than those two to also do a more exploratory listen. And I've already made my selection choices. I'm going to leave you guessing what they are, but I can tell you that today, the first one is Dazed and Confused. And that's what we'll be doing right here, right now. Dazed and Confused is a song written by American singer-songwriter Jake Holmes in 1967. After hearing Holmes perform the song in August 1967, English rock group The Yardbirds reworked it with a new arrangement. It soon became a centerpiece of their tours, and several recordings of which have been released, including on Yardbirds 68, produced by guitarist Jimmy Page. Well, since I'm diving into this whole Led Zeppelin project, I have learned that actually there were several members of Led Zeppelin involved with the Yardbirds, and which after the Yardbirds, they called themselves the New Yardbirds, as Led Zeppelin was kind of coalescing into a band. And then they had to come up with a more original name, and that's when they renamed themselves Led Zeppelin. And so this album is the first presentation of that band, Led Zeppelin, although it is not the first time that this set of musicians have performed together. So that kind of explains why one of the reasons why they could come out with such a powerful album first time round, because it's not like they were a group of completely inexperienced green upstarts. They had experience, and they were incredible musicians from this point, even before this point. This is just the moment at which they gained their own identity as a band. So that is interesting for me as a musician, because I'm always curious, and because I understand and know that this sort of skill and musical ability and power doesn't just come out of raw, unpracticed talent. It has to be developed. And, you know, when I did my very first listen to the very first song on this album, I remember just being kind of hit in the face with the power and intensity and brilliance and incredible musicianship, but also incredible compositional structure design. And even though I knew that it was their first time, their first song, the first introduction of Led Zeppelin to the world, I felt in myself this question of, this can't have been their first project together. And so that's why all of this background information is so interesting and so important, relevant to me. In 1968, Dazed and Confused, with new lyrics and vocal line, was recorded by Page's new group, Led Zeppelin, and released on their debut album. It became a signature song and concert staple for much of the group's career. So let's see what we can discover and enjoy in this dazed and confused world of theirs, ours. Good. Far enough to start with. There's already a lot to talk about, isn't there? So, I mentioned just a few moments ago how Good Times, Bad Times stuck in my oral memory, and the voice, the delivery of it, the opening, in the days of my youth. Well, that is a testament to an incredible instinct and skill in designing something that is not only fun to listen to the first time, but really sinks itself in and settles itself in your mind as something that you return to with interest over and over and over again. Well, then there are the earworms, which are rather annoying. But I wouldn't call that one an earworm, and I certainly wouldn't call this one an earworm. But listen to this incredible musical material that starts with the opening here. We have this incredible chromatic descending motif, which starts out, and anytime that we get chromaticism involved in a piece of music, in any significant way, it adds a level of complexity. Just like anytime we take a simple, let's say a simple square, and snip off the corners, well, we get a much more complex shape, meaning there are many more sides to it, many different angles, more different angles from which we can approach it, simply because there are all those different, well, now it's an octagon instead of a square. Same thing with music. When you have something that's diatonic, meaning just the notes within that key, you have so many angles from which to approach, and you have so many harmonic colors implied. The moment you start adding non-key notes or extra notes beyond that key within which you're working, that is when we snip off the corners, and the complexity of it, the different ways of approach, the gradations and colorations and harmonic implications just explode. And so, even though this is a very simple, rhythmically simple opening, the bum, 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 a 1, 2, 3, 4. Got this little pickup here, this anacrusis, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is where it cuts off. That is our rhythmic material. It's also our harmonic melodic material. But it's set way down in the bass. A 1, 2, 3, 4. And more than that, we have this half step, this semitone, chromatic descent, starting with the second beat of the bar. And so we already have this incredible brooding quality of, oh, what is this? Is this menacing? Is this scary? Is this creepy? Is this way down underwater? What is this happening here? So many different ways we could go because there are so many different angles. As again, it's complex. Yeah, that's it. And to make it even better, it repeats, but not verbatim, meaning the same rhythm, the same shape. A 1, 2, 3, 4 descending semitone by semitone. Same thing happens again, but this time on different pitches, a different location in the scale. Why is that notable? Because it adds more complexity, because the chromatic pitches are somewhere else, something else brought in. It's like saying, well, let's take this example again. I snip the corners off. But instead of just getting another piece of paper and snipping off the corners again, we move the paper and snip off some more corners. Well, that even adds more complexity. Isn't that great? And there are also the less technical elements, but still very notable, of shape. And that is, it has this 1, 2, 3, 4 descending down. And here's what I love. Even though I said this is another phrase or another iteration of the motif, when we start to look at it in detail, we find that there is a level of continuity between it, which is almost makes it a continuation. And you hear that, you feel that, because after the first 1, 2, 3, 4, you don't feel like it's time to stop yet. Why? Well, this note starts here and we descend gradually one by one. If we chop out this little note here, then the descent continues downwards unbroken. And so, a 1, 2, 3, 4, a 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a continuous stair step down. And that is an incredibly well-constructed musical motif and foundation on which to work for the entire piece. It as I said, it opens so many possibilities. And no matter which way you take it, it still leaves so much more available. It allows the piece this level of, again, I'm going to use the word complexity, emotional, harmonic depth, which you'll never be able to exploit every single potential, which means it's like walking through an incredibly lush forest or garden where everything is blooming, exploding, and rich, colorful, and you can't take it all in, and you know that the next day you walk through there and you will see even more, because you know what? There's more growing continuously. It's that sort of thing. And so I've dwelt on this opening line a lot because it is integral to the entire piece. It is fundamental to the entire piece. And it's worth noticing these really great elements right from the beginning. I love that guitar up here too. Kind of echoing. Ooh, really big.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you.
And since our ears are tuned towards this now, that was outlined in the introduction before the voice enters, we're able to keep our attention there for a minute. Don't get thrown off and distracted by the incredible magnetism of the voice, but listen to the consistency and the continuity of what is happening underneath. Let's back up again just so we can hear that incredible line of musical design continuing when the voice enters.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you. Lots of people talking, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below.
And so now, when all these other instruments come in, saying the same thing, emphasizing, continuing, all of this on this musical motif, it's not such a surprise because our ears have been tuned to hear this. But now let's go back and listen to this wonderful voice. Doesn't it?
Been dazed and confused
comes
for so long, it's not true. Wanted a woman, never bargained for you.
Notice how even his melody that he's singing is following the same general shape. Been dazed and confused for so long is not true. See how the line is gradually moving downwards. You don't even have to read music to see what's happening. It starts up here, we end up down here. It's not a massive difference, but it's a gradual, consistent descent from here down to here in the notes. That is the same thing as this gradual, consistent descent, which we have in the motif, the riff, we could call it. Now, how this all works with the message of the piece, it fits, doesn't it? This idea of been dazed and confused for so long. If we listen to this musical motif, it's as if we're, kind of looking around, bum, 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 bum. Do I even know where I am? Bum, 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 bum. Those chromatic notes kind of make it a little less anchored, not so clear about where we are harmonically, key-wise, tonally. We're just standing here. Da dum bum bum bum. And then when Robert Plant comes in, been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true. It's this incredibly intense explosion of emotion and passion, which is a bit of a surprise, isn't it? With a piece that's about dazed and confused and with this brooding, sultry, descending, but still, as I said, he follows the same shape. And so it starts to fall into line and continue. I've talked about this before, how the shape of music can impact our sense of what is happening emotionally. And when there is a consistent descending, moving downwards, it's as if we're, it can do several things. It can make us feel tired. It can make us feel like it's expressing discouragement or some negative experience in our life or in the life of the music. It's not upbeat. It's not buoyant in the way that something that's rising would be. And so this constant traveling downwards in this piece adds to the weightiness of it, adds to the emotional insistence of it. The fact that, well, okay, I mean, if we look at the lyrics, it's about somebody who feels like he's been misused by a woman, right? And he's upset about it. He's not happy about it. We can go into that if we want, but let's keep our eyes on the music right now. Keep our ears on the music. But notice how the music is set up to powerfully express the emotional content of the lyrics, even without the lyrics saying anything out loud. What do I mean? I mean, if there were no lyrics, if all we heard was gibberish or a foreign language you don't understand, as this was being sung and played, we would still walk away with this experience that this is expressing some deep sadness and frustration and anguish, even confusion.
Wanted a woman, never bargained for you.
Never bargained.
Lots of people talking, few of them know. Soul of a woman was created below. You hurt and abused, telling all of your lies. Run, sweet baby, Lord, how they hypnotize. Sweet little baby, I don't know where you've been. Gonna love you, baby. Here I come again.
Okay, this is different, right? It's the first time that we're doing something that is not this layering of descent and this slow-paced dum bum, whether it's in the voice or the guitars or the bass, any of that. We've been listening to this all along, haven't we? And this is a sort of solo moment, right? A sort of break in the lyrical progression. And notice how suddenly the harmonic structure becomes much more static. We are now sitting. Da 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 da. You know, we're using these same chords, these same notes over and over again here. It's kind of like, I don't know, are we wallowing in our misery? Or are we now to the point of what we want to say, and we are just going to stick there and hold on to it? And, you know, it's this anchoring ourselves in this moment of deep, powerful emotions that we're working our way through.
Sweet baby, Lord, how they hypnotize. Sweet little baby, I don't know where you've been. Gonna love you, baby. Here I come again.
It's kind of the roaring expression. But then this comes in again. Back to this. But those drum fills, aren't they great? Dum bum da 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 bum bum da 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 bum bum da bum 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 bangity 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 bang. Right? It's like I guess this is John Bonham, right, at the drums. It's like he's saying, guys, don't forget, this is a real problem. You know, don't just go back to this da da no da 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 ba ba da 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 da. You know, and he picks just the perfect moment so that it builds this intensity even more as this mournful, almost funereal musical motif continues and is explored even more by the instruments and their different ranges and tonal voices. And the high with the low. Right, let's talk about the range here because I think it's worthy of notice. So we are landing way up on this guitar, way up. Let's just say it's going to be dum bum. That is going to be an F sharp. And then down here we have, well, something's funny with the music here. But the idea is that we are a long ways from each other, right? Let's just say that we have a G. There we go. Yeah, that's it. So, we've got the G. And notice how when we hear that guitar, it's way up, way high up in pitch. Well, whereas the bass is way down here. Isn't it a sort of tragic, sad, anguished sound? And it's just in octaves. But it's a whole different effect than if everybody was kind of playing in the middle here. Okay, yeah, we got a nice chromatic thing going on. But we do this, we can even take it down here on the harp to get it even greater impact from way up here. To have that great of a gap, range-wise, down here, up here, spread it out. It leaves so much space between, and it throws us to the far extremes of the musical range. And whenever you have that in unison, or in octaves rather, then it has this sort of, I don't know, I think of traditional folk music, not from the classic Western traditions like, say, British folk music. I'm thinking more Eastern folk music or even Eastern European, where you have the wailing and the high with the low, and there's some deep tragic story embedded in that sound. And we get that sound here, don't we?
You been gonna love you, baby. Here I come again.
Here it is, way up here and way down here. As the drums are beating away.
Every day I work so hard, bringing home
and then this voice comes right in the middle of that. Middle is here.
But you push me away. Don't know where you're going, only know just where you've been.
And it pounds itself into us.
I want you again.
Over again. Ah. That was perfect timing. I said, just as he starts singing. You have to appreciate, though, the change after we have just been beaten over and over and over with this incredible, tragic, painful motif and the sadness and the agony that it just drives into us, and it comes relentlessly over and over and over again before we get to the point of feeling hypnotized by the repetition. Suddenly things get changed up. And I love what happens here. We start with this dee-dee-dee-dee-dum right here. And, or we hear it down in the bass actually, dee-dee-dee-dee-dum. And then we hear it thrown up here a bit, da-da-da-da-dum. And then somewhere else, dee-dee-dee-dee-dum. But then they start playing with it. And even with this dee-dee-dee-dee-dum, okay, it still has the descending dee-dee-dee-dee-dum, dee-dee-dee-dee-dum. And it starts to be this conversational talking dee-dee-dee-dee down here, dee-dee-dee-dee down here, dee-dee-dee-dee down over here, and over here, and over here. But then they take that same little shape and vocalize it. Ah, well, you hear it in the guitar first with that sort of slide. It's no longer articulated dee-dee-dee-dee-dum. More like dum. But the bass is still giving us the articulation. So we're not allowed to question or miss the significance of what's happening. The articulation is being turned into a wordless, unarticulated sigh, sadness, cry. Back and forth. Out and you can hear his voice somewhere off in the distance there, calling out, da 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 da, whatever he's saying. It makes me feel like I am in a dark forest at night. I don't know where I am. All I hear are these strange, scary sounds. Here, here, here. Stuff happening around me in the darkness. I don't know exactly where I am. It's scary and it's unnerving, but there's this sense of spatial dimension. And I've said before, I love this feeling of multi-dimensional effect in music when it comes. And this is done so nicely. You hear it happening in the bass, then in the drums, then in the voice, then in the guitar, and moving around. And then this voice far off somewhere. Wouldn't that raise your hair on your neck if you're out in the middle of the woods at night? Isn't it interesting? Dum, and then dum. That's the first time we've heard something that really rises, isn't it? And it becomes a question. What's that? Really? Oh, wow. What is that? Oh. Kind of makes me think of, say, what I imagine it might be like to try to sleep out overnight in some African preserve where you can hear the wild animals calling to each other in the night. And am I safe here? I just love the way each of these instruments and voices interact with the others. It gets more weird. Still this long descending line, quivering, shaking, shivering. Oh, what is that? and leave it to the drums to pull us out of it. Let's leave. Let's run out of here. Yeah, that's too close for comfort. I'm leaving. Oh yeah! And now they're running. The action. And you hear it in the bass. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And it gets more frenetic. And we are still running. And the bass is keeping us going, the drums are keeping us going. The guitar is the voice of desperate fear. Moving down, moving down, moving down, moving down, moving down. Okay, listen to those drums. And his voice in there. You know, one of the things I appreciate about the way this develops and the way they're using all these instruments, and I feel like this is something that I'm going to, at least as I'm listening, as I've listened to some Led Zeppelin, I feel like saying that I get the sense that Robert Plant uses his voice as an instrument that's part of the ensemble. All these wordless vocalizations and articulations that he throws in here in this interlude, it's not part of the verse, it's not part of his part to sing. But he's right in there in contributing just as a guitarist, just as a drummist, just as a bassist, just as any instrumentalist would participate in a portion of music like this. There's his voice right there, just sailing on through with the same natural ease of presence that any instrumentalist would have. And that's why I say I feel like he approaches his voice as if it were an instrument. I want to back up and listen to the first verse a second, because there's something that is a little bit different here, and I don't want to speak too soon. So let me go back and listen. Okay. It's easiest to spot unwanted. I guess that's where I started to feel that there was something different. Maybe. No, I'll let you do this on your own time so that we don't waste too much time here. But I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing. There is a sort of rhythmic offset happening between the guitar instruments, bass, etc., and their motifs, and the placement within the beat. At the beginning, you hear da 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 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. We still hear that here because they're still doing that, but it's offset. And the place that it's easiest to hear is on the word wanted at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wanted a woman. Okay, now listen what's happening here when we get to wanted. It's not on 1. Did you hear? It's before. It came before wanted. Now, if I were to sit down and explore the actual rhythmic pattern of the drums, I might even find some more details, but that would be a sitting down and really studying, comparing side by side. So I'm not going to do all of that here, but that's enough to let me know that they've done some pretty cool shifting of the rhythm going on here, kind of offsetting. And at the same time, we're not completely disoriented because the motif is still traveling with the voice at the same as it did, but the drums are setting things so that everything is a little bit tweaked. And that is a lot of fun to explore. Also lets me know that they can play with rhythms and do it so smoothly that you've got to really keep some ears sharp out for what's happening. Oh, here it comes again. Another great example of how incredibly tightly built these pieces are, at least the ones that I've been digging into here. And isn't it kind of ironic that a piece of music about being dazed and confused is so not dazed and confused in its construction? But it just goes to show that in order to give a really sound, effective, compelling, artistic rendition of something, you've got to keep your wits about you. You know, I'm reminded of a I'm reminded of a story of a singer, and she was majoring in voice, opera, theater, drama, voice, all of that, and I think it was her junior recital or something in college, and she had been focused on really conveying and feeling the emotions. Well, only problem is, as she was singing in her performance, well, she got so overwhelmed by the emotions of the music that she couldn't, that her voice choked up and she couldn't give a good performance. And it's one of the tricky things when it comes to really creating works of art is that the artists, the musicians, the band has to remain incredibly in control, even as they are expressing these things that are in real life so overwhelming that they completely cause us to lose our bearings, lose control. And this is a great example of an incredibly controlled, well-constructed, well-designed, well-performed, powerfully delivered piece of music. And because of all of that, it does such a great job of expressing the emotions within the piece. But it's not by chance, and it's not by luck. It's by really solid craftsmanship and artistry. So, there we have Dazed and Confused. That was a lot of fun. Some more stuff to dig into. And if any of you are interested in exploring on your own time this rhythmic offset, feel free to drop your comments below and tell me what you think, how you feel it, what you see, what you discover, and maybe we can have a sort of communal project where everyone can contribute and discover some of the genius behind the scheme. Such a lot of fun. That was the first song in this series of this project, although not the first song on the album, nor my first time hearing Led Zeppelin. But this is how the series is beginning, and I'll meet you next time for the next one.